Halfway through Can't Help Falling in Love, Elvis stopped. The band froze. Spotlight swept the crowd until they landed on a teenager in the front row, cane in hand, eyes closed. Witnesses say the boy's lips trembled as he whispered 4 words. "Can I sing, please?" Before we get to what happened next, stick around, because the moment that followed wasn't just music. It became a memory etched into thousands of hearts that night. You'll want to see why. The house lights drop. For a split second, the arena is pitch black. Then, one blinding white beam cuts through the darkness, dust swirling in its path. The roar of thousands slams into the air. It's the mid-1970s, a sold-out indoor arena, somewhere in the American South. The smell of popcorn mingles with hairspray. Programs rustle in restless hands. Somewhere in the distance, an amp hums. From the wings, Elvis strides out, white jumpsuit, rhinestones flashing under the strobes, a wide belt cinched at the waist. The crowd erupts. Some people leap from their seats. Others clutch their chests, as if they've been waiting their whole lives for this moment. The first chord of CC Rider snaps through the speakers. Fans sway shoulder to shoulder, clapping, stomping. Flashbulbs pop like firecrackers. Near the very front, an usher in a red blazer leans over, guiding a teenage boy, no more than 15, toward an empty seat. He moves carefully. A white cane rests across his lap once he sits. His mother is beside him, hand over his, squeezing gently. The bass thumps through the floorboards. The boy tilts his head toward the stage, as if chasing every note with his ears. His lips move in time with the chorus. Between songs, Elvis wipes his brow with a scarf and scans the crowd. For a second, just one, his gaze locks on the boy. The king tilts his head, curious, a small nod, almost imperceptible, before turning back to the mic. Then the familiar drumbeat of Burning Love kicks in. The crowd screams louder. Elvis leans into the groove, hips rolling, voice in full burn. But down in the front row, the boy does something no one expects. He faces the stage, eyes closed, cane in hand, and that's when Elvis really sees him. The song surges toward its final chorus, but Elvis's focus has shifted. His brow furrows, his grip on the mic tightens. Something's about to happen, something that isn't in tonight's setlist. 3 chords into Can't Help Falling in Love, Elvis does something unthinkable. He raises his hand. The band falls silent. A hush spreads, broken only by a single cough. Somewhere in the balcony, spotlights sweep the crowd until they stop at the boy in the front row. He's still standing, one hand gripping his cane, the other resting against his mother's arm. Elvis steps forward, squinting into the glare. "Y'all hold on a second," he says, voice low but carrying. Witnesses say the boy's mother leans in toward the stage. Her lips move quickly, as if she's explaining something before she loses her nerve. Elvis crouches, resting an elbow on his knee, listening. The boy lifts his chin toward the sound of Elvis's breathing. His voice trembles, but each word lands clean. "I've never seen you, but I've heard you all my life. Can I sing with you?" The silence deepens. Somewhere near the back, a camera shutter clicks. A man in the balcony yells, "Let him sing." The shout triggers a ripple of applause. It swells, row by row, until the entire arena is clapping in rhythm. Elvis glances at the band, then back at the boy. He tilts his head, half question, half dare. "Come on up here, son," he says, extending his hand. Security moves in, not to block, but to guide. 2 ushers help the boy step over the front rail. His mother follows to the edge of the stage, one hand pressed over her heart. As they lead him up the stairs, the boy's free hand brushes the side curtain, feeling the velvet folds as if memorizing them. His sneakers scuff against the plywood. The stage lights heat the air. He takes a steadying breath. Elvis meets him center stage. Without a word, he pulls the scarf from around his own neck and drapes it over the boy's shoulders. Then Elvis leans down, says something only the boy can hear. We may never know exactly what it was. Some say it was, "Sing it like you mean it." Others claim he whispered, "You've already got the crowd." Whatever it was, it makes the boy smile, just barely, before stepping up to the microphone. The audience, which had been roaring, goes silent again. You could hear the faint buzz of an amplifier in the wings. Somewhere backstage, a crew member freezes mid-step, waiting. The boy's fingers tighten on the mic stand. Elvis takes 2 steps back, giving him space. The king's hands rest easily at his sides, but his eyes never leave the boy. The stage is set. One voice the world knows, one they've never heard. Elvis nods once. "You start," he says, and the boy opens his mouth. The first note doesn't come from Elvis. It comes from the boy. His voice starts low, almost a whisper, but steady. The first line of "Can't Help Falling in Love" drifts into the rafters. It's pure and unshaken by the size of the crowd. You can see shoulders drop in the first few rows, tension melting into awe. Elvis's grin spreads slow, proud. Halfway through the verse, Elvis steps closer, tilting his mic to meet the boys. The crowd leans forward in unison, as if the entire arena has forgotten to breathe. When the chorus hits, Elvis joins in. His baritone wraps around the boy's tenor, 2 voices moving as one. In the front row, the boy's mother presses her fingertips to her lips, eyes glistening. A woman beside her clasps her hands as if in prayer. Cameras flash, catching Elvis's white suit mid-turn, the rhinestones throwing flecks of light across the stage. The boy doesn't flinch. His eyes stay closed, face tilted toward the sound of the guitar, finding the beat in the floor vibrations under his sneakers. The second verse swells louder. By the time they reach "Some Things Are Meant to Be," several people in the audience are openly crying. Even a couple of band members exchange glances, their fingers hovering over strings and keys with more reverence than routine. Elvis steps back for the bridge, letting the boy take it alone. The voice wavers just slightly, but that crack makes it human, makes it real. The applause begins before the note is even done. A camera operator inches closer, capturing the boy's small hands gripping the mic stand, knuckles pale. The scarf Elvis gave him drapes loosely now, one end brushing against the guitar cable on the floor. When Elvis steps back in for the final chorus, it's softer, like he's not singing to the arena anymore, but to the boy beside him. The harmony lands perfect. As the song reaches its final line, Elvis suddenly stops singing. The boy's voice carries the last words alone. "With you." Silence. Then a wave of applause so loud the risers shake. Elvis takes the boy's hand and lifts it high in the air. "Ladies and gentlemen, my new friend." The crowd roars again, louder this time. Elvis doesn't let go. He keeps the boy's hand in his, and signals to the band. But instead of moving into the next number on the set list, he turns to the side stage, and gestures for something. A stage hand disappears into the wings. The boy tilts his head, sensing something about to happen. Elvis leans down and says, "We're not done yet." The boy smiles. The crowd, sensing another surprise, starts to chant. The stage hand returns, carrying a guitar. Elvis doesn't just hand him a mic, he's about to hand him something else entirely. The stage hand sets the guitar. In Elvis's hands, a sunburst Gibson, the edges worn smooth from years of shows. The king runs his thumb over the fretboard, almost like a farewell. The crowd quiets, sensing the weight of the moment. Elvis turns to the boy. "You play." The boy shakes his head, smiling shyly. "Not yet." Without hesitation, Elvis flips the guitar around, neck first, and slides the strap over the boy's shoulder. The body nearly swallows him, but his hands instinctively rest on the strings. "You will now," Elvis says, the mic catching every word. The boy's fingers tap lightly on the fretboard, feeling the raised dots under the strings. He plucks one string. It rings out, clear and warm. The sound seems to surprise even him. A ripple of applause runs through the arena. Someone yells, "Play it, son," and laughter mixes with cheers. Elvis crouches again, saying something low. Witnesses recall him telling the boy, "Doesn't matter how it sounds tonight, Just play from here. He taps his chest. The boy strums 3 hesitant chords. Elvis starts tapping the beat with his boot. Slow and steady. The band, sensing the cue, adds a gentle bass line and brushed snare hits. The arena transforms. Thousands of people fall into the rhythm of a song that isn't on any album. Elvis sings one more verse of Can't Help Falling in Love, softer this time, letting the guitar's shaky rhythm carry underneath. The boy smiles now, a real smile, wide enough to reach his cheeks. At the end of the verse, Elvis rests his hand on the boy's shoulder. Ladies and gentlemen, he says, you've just heard the debut of a brand new player. The crowd explodes. 2 security guards guide the boy toward the stairs. His mother is waiting, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. Elvis walks him to the edge of the stage, leaning down so the boy can find his arm. Before he steps down, Elvis adjusts the scarf around his neck, making sure it sits neatly over the guitar strap. It's yours. The boy freezes for a second, as if making sure he heard right, then nods. He hugs the guitar like it's an old friend. The smell of leather from the strap, the cool metal of the tuning pegs under his fingers, the faint vibration still humming through the body from the last chord. It's all real now. Back in his seat, the boy keeps both arms wrapped around the guitar. His mother leans over, whispering something that makes him laugh through the tears. On stage, Elvis turns back to the crowd. Let's send him home with something he won't forget. He snaps into the opening riff of Jailhouse Rock. The band roars to life. The audience, still buzzing from the duet, dances even harder now. By the final chord, the energy is electric. Elvis stands center stage, arms raised in thanks, sweat shining under the lights. The night could end here, and it would already be unforgettable. But according to the boy's family, it didn't end here, because 1 week later, they say, a package arrived on their front porch. Inside was something that would change his life all over again. A week later, just after sunrise, the doorbell rang. A cardboard box sat on the porch, edges scuffed, a thin string cutting into the lid. According to the boy's family, there was no return address, just his name in block letters. His mother set it on the kitchen table, beside a bowl of oranges and last night's folded program. The room smelled like coffee and lemon soap. Somewhere down the hall, a radio murmured headlines. Outside, a lawn sprinkler ticked. Cold air seeped under the door. Dew beaded on the welcome mat. They sliced the string. Paper rust. Inside rested a guitar case. Black, hard shell metal latches, cold to the touch. Tucked under the handle, an envelope. The boy's name again. He slid his finger under the flap. A note, handwritten, steady. You'll always have a seat in the front row. Elvis. His mother read it twice, a hand to her mouth. The boy traced the ink, feeling the grooves, as if the letters had texture. When he opened the case, they both gasped. A brand new guitar lay inside. Custom work, maple neck smooth as glass. Along the fretboard, small braille markers dotted every position. Not stickers, embedded, permanent. Beside the headstock, a polished pick with his initials. Under the neck, a folded receipt with the price blacked out. Some say a member of Elvis's crew helped arrange it. Others recall a local luthier, who owed the tour a favor. What's certain is how the boy held that guitar careful first, then closer, then like it belonged there. He set the strap across his shoulder. The weight felt right. He pressed down on the first fret, until the string kissed wood. The note rang. He did it again, and again. A slow 3-note climb that filled the kitchen. His mother leaned against the counter, laughing and crying at once. She lifted the scarf from a chair, the same one Elvis had draped around him, and looped it gently over the strap. Now it's official, she said. The boy began to practice every evening. Neighbors heard the steady rhythm through open windows, metronome clicks, patient chords, fragments of Love Me Tender, stitched together with trial and error. He learned the braille markers by touch, until his fingers no longer searched. They knew. Within months, according to people at church, he played at a fundraiser, hands shaking, smile fixed. He missed a chord, Started again. This time he finished. The room stood and clapped. Not polite but proud. Word of the arena night kept traveling. Fans traded grainy photographs at flea markets. A retired usher remembered guiding a small hand along the stair. A guitarist from the opening act swore the king talked about that brave kid all week. A disc jockey retold it on late-night radio. Years later, the boy, now a young man, joined a local band. He tuned by feel, counted in with a tap of his shoe, and always saved one song for last. The audience sang the chorus with him, loud and forgiving. It wasn't perfect. It was better. People still ask what that night meant. The answer lives in the pause before a final note, the breath the room holds together. And there's one more thing from that porch morning we haven't told you yet. The arena is gone now, torn down, paved over. But if you ask the people who were there, they don't talk about the walls or the seats. They talk about the silence. That night in the mid-70s, thousands of voices had roared for a super. But for a few minutes, the music stopped. Not because of an encore, not for showmanship, but so one boy could be heard. Witnesses still recall the look on Elvis's face. Focused, almost protective, the way he angled his body toward the boy, letting him own the stage. The scarf, the guitar, the invitation that didn't need a script. Over time, the memory became a story. The story became a legend. And the legend turned into something people passed down, not for the fame, not for the celebrity, but because of what it meant. The boy grew into a man. His hair grayed early. The guitar still hung in his living room. Strap faded. Scarf folded neatly over the neck. He never called it a gift. He called it a reminder. When asked, he'd say, it wasn't about singing with Elvis. It was about someone like him stopping the world long enough to listen. That scarf still carries the faint scent of the cologne Elvis wore that night. Or maybe it's just the memory playing tricks. Either way, it's never been washed. The arena may be gone, but every retelling keeps the lights up. The mic stands center stage, the boy's voice steady, and somewhere in the dark beyond those lights, the crowd is still listening. In a world of noise, kindness is the only thing that can stop a room. If this moved you, share it with someone who believes a single act of kindness can stop a room. What's one moment in your life when a stranger's kindness changed everything?